Tonight, a Tweed grandmother speaks exclusively to 7 News about losing her belongings in a callous carjacking and how she's helping police track him down. Let's work together, the inspiring message from Vilene White's family at a community meeting on youth crime. World outrage as a fierce critic of the Russian president is found dead in prison. Sick and tired of being targeted, the Gold Coast small business owner counting the cost of a late-night smash and grab. Donald Trump's big loss, his business empire fined $500 million. And Suncorp tickled pink by a proposal to lift the concert cap as Taylor Swift meets Melbourne's wildest dreams.
Live from Brisbane, 7 News with Samantha Heathwood.
Good evening. A grandmother has shared her shock and devastation after falling victim to a cruel carjacking. The man swindled his way into the senior's car, then sped off. But now she's turned sleuth to help police close in on the thief.
Reliving the moment she fell victim to a callous carjacking.
Oh, that's a bit I don't like.
73-year-old Annette, a grandmother, senior citizen, had just finished at the doctor's when a heartless thug posing as a good Samaritan took advantage of her trust.
The guy came up and said I had a flat tyre. So I turned around, walked to the back of the car, and then I looked up and he was in the seat.
He locked the doors. Annette begged him to hop out.
I just couldn't believe it. I think I went crazy and I just grabbed that door handle and I'm yelling, "Help, help."
Bystanders rushed to help the grandmother in distress, but soon her station wagon mounted the footpath and took off, leaving Annette in shock. Her wallet and phone were inside.
He could have knocked me over.
Fearing she could have ended up in hospital, the very place she was going to visit her sick husband.
He's really not in a good place at the moment. So I was so panicky, what am I going to do? No car.
Left bewildered as to how this could happen just across the road from a police station.
I want people to be aware how easily it can happen, you know. He looked like a nice guy. I had no reason to doubt him.
The thief remains on the run but is believed to be in Queensland. Annette has been helping detectives track him down with her credit card statements, which showed her card was used to buy food 3 hours north in Gympie.
I got online and bingo, he's made 5 purchases. 7-Eleven, McDonald's, Hungry Jack's. Yeah, he's a hungry guy.
Her Nissan also remains outstanding with plates EXT15S. Annette just hopes her story will lead to change.
It's not right, it's not fair, and someone has got to do something.
Jordan Quinn, 7 News.
Police are investigating a frightening hold-up at a Brisbane service station overnight. Jordan Bissell, police say the gang stole the worker's car.
That's right, Sam. Early this morning, 3 people smashed into Wacol Ampol where they threatened the attendant, smashed a window and stole cash and cigarettes, as well as the frightened employee's van. That worker is now taking a few weeks off to recover. Shortly after, another car, a Kia Carnival, the same type of car the group had arrived in, was found torched nearby in a suburban Richland street just metres from sleeping residents. In a separate incident, 3 teenagers have been arrested over the alleged theft of a Mini Cooper from a family home in Clear Island Waters on the Gold Coast. Polo tracked that car and an Audi overnight before they found a serrated knife in one of the abandoned cars. 3 boys aged between 16 and 17 have been charged, Sam.
Jordan Bissell, thank you. Well, it's been revealed a Queensland family involved in a deadly crash in New South Wales on Thursday had been on the way to the Taylor Swift concert in Melbourne. 2 girls and their mother were inside the car when it collided with a semi-trailer near Dubbo. A 16-year-old girl was killed and her 10-year-old sister critically injured in the crash. Their mother is also recovering in hospital. A GoFundMe page has raised more than $13,000 to support the family. The grieving family of Vilene White are tonight marking 2 weeks since her horrific death at a Redbank shopping centre. But they've also shared their hope for change, pushing for compassion at a community forum today.
It was a crime that rocked Queensland 2 weeks since Vilene White was stabbed and killed outside a Redbank Plains shopping centre. Her family hopes her loss can spark change.
If we're all in unity on this, we can only win together.
Her daughter Cindy and husband Victor meeting members of the local African community today.
It's not a case of other people being right and wrong. We need to all be on the same page.
Their compassion helped diffuse simmering racial tensions following Vileen's death. Today, their grace was applauded.
I think your mum will be very proud of you because
5 teenagers have been charged. In a community meeting today, leaders preached about 2 words.
we need to talk about accountability because responsibility comes with accountability.
Challenging friends, family and social workers to help change a generational issue.
We're dealing with a youth crime crisis. Every day we have to make sure that there are laws in place to protect Queenslanders.
In the midst of a crisis, many have their stories. Few have reasons like these.
We just all need to work together for a solution. We're doing this for Mum.
And to try and stop it happening again. Ned Barham, 7 News.
2 Brisbane campers have been rescued overnight after they became stranded between rising creeks on the Sunshine Coast.
The rain was just going crazy this morning at the campsite, and we thought we're best getting out of here because of the creek.
They'd actually run out of food and potable water at the time, and they had to still spend that night there on the dry lands.
The flooding was caused by a freak rain event which smashed the southeast yesterday. Let's bring in Paul Burt now. Paul, any rain on the radar today?
Well, Sam, we did have those showers across the southeast border region through till about lunchtime, but have a look at the state radar. You can see just that patchy cloud pushing across the southeast. Nothing compared to yesterday. That trough has broken up, which is good news. But up towards Mackay, they got some pretty heavy showers coming through this afternoon. Also, a lot of storm activity around Weipa and the Cape, thanks to that active monsoonal trough, which spawned tropical cyclone Lincoln, which is now a low depression as it barges into Northern Territory. Today's temperatures, you can see the showers just patchy again across the southeast this morning through to lunchtime. 29 coastal, 20 to 30 in the city, 31 the high Greenbank, and also for those in Ipswich. Now, Sam, tomorrow not too bad, maybe some showers in the afternoon, but again, bring the brolly out from Monday through to Thursday. More weather for you soon.
Looking forward to it. Thank you, Bertie. Well, to breaking news now, and more asylum seekers have been found in Western Australia. Isabel Mullen, there are concerns a second boat could have arrived.
Sam, a group of 13 men has been found after walking into a campsite at Pender Bay. It's a remote outstation north of Beagle Bay, where a group of 30 men were taken into custody yesterday. This second group had cuts and other injuries from scrambling on rocks and walking through mangroves. The Home Affairs Minister has stressed they were found at the same time as the first group, but the government hasn't ruled out the prospect that a second asylum boat may have made it to land. Stuck on a bus after 5 days at sea, approaching a flight no one wants to board. 30 asylum seekers from Pakistan and Bangladesh, all hoping to call Australia home.
People who attempt to arrive here by boat will not settle here.
They arrived at Beagle Bay, a remote Indigenous community 100 kilometres north of Broome, walking for hours to find water, now told they'll be sent to Nauru.
The Labor government should have closed offshore detention when it got elected. They've gone through a hell of a lot.
I don't want to go back to Pakistan. They're not like they're treating us like a human being.
The coalition blames the release of 149 detainees into the community.
If they see any weakening in the policy, they will pay their money and get on a boat.
Asylum seekers have long been a political football, the coalition introducing Operation Sovereign Borders in 2013.
You've got to stop the boats.
The number of reported boat arrivals dropped from 300 to 1 in 1 year. Since Anthony Albanese was elected, at least 2 have made it to shore. Asylum seekers sent to Nauru for the first time in a decade.
I know exactly how these people smugglers work. They will react to a weak Prime Minister and to a weak Minister. And if they see vulnerabilities, they will exploit them.
But today, Border Force issued a rare warning that politicising the matter will make it worse, insisting their approach hasn't changed since Operation Sovereign Borders began. Any alternate narrative will be exploited by criminal people smugglers.
You will never settle in Australia.
you have zero chance of success.
The same outcome, regardless of who's in power. Isabel Mullen, 7 News.
Brisbane could be in store for more big-name performers, with plans for the concert cap at Suncorp Stadium to be permanently lifted. Public consultation is kicking off as superstar Pink delighted thousands at her first Queensland show.
The River City tickled pink.
We brought the whole family and
we're
friends.
dressed in pink. Getting the party started on a Friday night, Pink gave fans a reason to have fun. Even more stars could be flying in for shows if Queensland lifts the cap on concerts at Suncorp Stadium from 6 to 12. The government also proposing to change the definition of a major sporting event crowd from 35 to 45,000.
We're out to consultation to see if we can increase the amount of events and concerts at Suncorp Stadium, and we really welcome everyone to have their say.
I think it's a very good thing. The more the better.
More music is always better for me, but again, I'm not a local here in Paddington.
Yeah, bring it on, more fun. Absolutely. I'm a Swiftie and I'm actually going to Sydney next week, and I wish it was at Suncorp.
She was in 2015, but not this time.
People want to go to them and they don't want to have to travel interstate to go to events.
Not only would the concert cap be raised, but a series of shows would be treated as one event, meaning more performers like Pink could wow Queensland crowds.
Ensuring the city isn't left asking.
Fans will be raising a glass again to Pink tonight. They are flocking through the gates currently for the second night in the Summer Carnival tour here in Brisbane, but it is the Gold Coast turn next. She will be performing there on Tuesday before heading down to Melbourne, but perhaps in a sign of how much Pink loves the Sunshine State, she will be finishing her tour with shows in Brisbane and in Townsville.
Rosanna Kingston at Milton. Thanks, Rosie. Well, a New York judge has ordered Donald Trump, his sons and business empire to pay more than $500 million in fines in a landmark fraud case. The former president is also banned from doing business in the Big Apple for 3 years. He's certain to appeal the ruling, describing the case as a witch hunt.
Donald Trump's self-styled image of brash mogul with a cunning business sense today unravelling in the city where he made his name.
These are people that shouldn't be allowed to do the things they do.
Trump's empire slugged a $500 million fine for fraudulently inflating the net worth of his sprawling property portfolio, puffing up the value and size of assets like his Mar-a-Lago estate and his New York towers to secure cheaper loans.
Donald Trump engaged in deceptive business practices and tremendous fraud.
His adult sons slapped with $6 million penalties, his former CFO $1.5 million, while the former president is now banned from serving as a director on any New York company and from applying for business loans for 3 years.
The scale and the scope of Donald Trump's fraud is staggering, and so too is his ego.
A cantankerous defendant during a 2-week hearing, Trump was described by the presiding judge today as having a total lack of contrition and remorse, bordering on pathological.
We'll appeal, we'll be successful.
This ruling falls a fraction short of the corporate death penalty that prosecutors had been gunning for. Still, it's set to sting the man who's built an empire and an image on this idea that he's been successful in business. In New York City, David Woywood, 7 News.
Queensland Health has employed the country's first chief midwife. She'll aim to address dwindling access to maternity services across the state and will report directly to the Health Minister.
Midwives had been telling me that what they wanted was a chief midwife here in Queensland to provide them with support and leadership.
Press release was issued by the Labor government 6 months ago that this position was going to be created.
The Health Minister says the department is still attempting to recruit more obstetricians to work in the state. After years of persecution, torture and attempts on his life, Russian opposition leader and Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny has died in prison. Moscow claims he collapsed after taking a walk, but the Western world is pointing the finger at Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin was so threatened by this man, it wasn't enough to lock him up.
We are just coming back, joining you with breaking news. CNN has learned that Alexei Navalny has died.
In the final hours of Alexei Navalny's life, he appeared gaunt but still smiling. By the morning, Russian prison guards were claiming he'd fallen ill while out walking and died suddenly.
Make no mistake, Putin is responsible for Navalny's death. Putin is responsible.
The American president's remarks shared by Australia.
And we hold Vladimir Putin and the Russian regime responsible for this death in prison.
The fact that Mr. Navalny's been poisoned, that he's been tortured, ultimately all of that falls at the hands of Vladimir Putin.
Navalny was jailed in 2021, accused of terrorism for challenging the Russian president and exposing corruption. In December, he was moved even further out of sight to an Arctic penal colony known as the Polar Wolf. As opposition leader and an outspoken Kremlin critic, Navalny inspired a wave of government protests. Such a thorn in Putin's side, he soon became a target, barred from running for president, then poisoned with a nerve agent on a flight from Serbia to Moscow. After an emergency landing and months of treatment in Germany, he defiantly returned to Russia, knowing he'd be arrested on his return or worse.
Нельзя сдаваться. Если это произошло, это означает, что мы необыкновенно сильны в этот момент.
We cannot take democracy for granted. We need to cherish it and nurture it.
In London, Ashley Mullaney, 7 News.
2 teenagers have been charged over the Kansas parade shooting that killed a woman and injured more than 20 people. They're accused of gun-related offences and resisting arrest, while a third person taken into custody has since been released. Detectives expect further charges soon. As the city recovers from the attack, it's been revealed Taylor Swift has donated more than $150,000 to support the family of the woman killed. Wild weather has led to the collapse of a highway in Brazil. A drone operated by emergency crews was hovering above the cracking road in the country's south when it suddenly gave way, sending bitumen and debris into a nearby river. It comes after weeks of torrential rain and widespread flooding. The world's biggest pop star has performed to the biggest crowd of her career, delighting more than 90,000 Swifties in Melbourne. After her 3.5-hour performance last night, Taylor Swift will take to the stage soon to do it all again.
Miss Americana Down Under.
Just gonna remember all of this that I got to look at one Friday night in Melbourne.
Making history.
This is the biggest show that we have done on this tour.
And dreams come true. Milana Bruno is the lucky little fan taking home more than just memories.
Yeah. Did you think in your wildest dreams you'd be on stage with Taylor?
Not really.
The 9-year-old brought to tears given the most priceless piece of merch, a signed hat.
All my friends texted me and stuff like that, like, did you get this? Did you get that?
For fans, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for a 3.5-hour trip through Taylor's 10 eras. From the premium seats to the nosebleeds, the stadium filled by 96,000 Swifties. Not only the biggest crowd of her career, but also the biggest crowd in a decade for any female performer. Not even counting the thousands of tailgaters.
What happened? Why are we out here and not in there? Because we didn't get tickets!
Ticketless, but taking it all in from the outside. And as Taylor revealed the Bolter bonus track to her new album, fans were beside themselves.
I've never had an album where I needed songwriting more.
Before fireworks and confetti took over the midnight sky. And on Tay Day 2, the megastar made a mega donation to Food Bank.
Thanks to Taylor, we've got thousands of people across Victoria now with a bigger smile on their face.
As Swifties prepare for Taylor's second concert tonight. Lucy McLeod, 7 News.
Masked thieves target a southeast business. Coming up, smash and grab. See the video. Were mistakes made? A Gold Coast mother's murder to be reviewed. The new treatment for advanced melanoma that's giving patients fresh hope. And just dropping in, a hot air balloon comes down in a suburban backyard.
Turning the tide on youth crime, only 7 News is with the straight shooting senior officer responsible for tackling the crisis.
We take a strong line and strong measures.
No nonsense, no excuses, what police are doing and why he insists it's working. 7 News, Monday at 6.
An investigation will be launched into the death of Gold Coast mother Kelly Wilkinson to see if it could have been prevented. The mother of three's estranged husband this week pleaded guilty to her murder. Ms Wilkinson had sought help from police and domestic violence services in the weeks before she died. The review by a government advisory board will try to identify any failings in the case. A small business owner on the Gold Coast has spoken of her heartache and frustration after her shop was robbed last night. The young thieves are tonight still on the run.
It's an all too common sight. Under the cover of darkness, security cameras record teen thieves breaking into, then ransacking a small business. But what isn't as frequent is this trio's choice of battering ram to break the window of an Nerang newsagent.
They smashed the glass with a drawer. I don't know where they got it from.
Once inside, frantic, the group whips around the counter for something to take. They've ditched the first drawer outside but found another inside full of cash.
I am still working it out, but it could be something between a few hundreds to even thousands.
The trio runs off but comes back, deciding to add to their loot, grabbing phone accessories and scratchies.
Which are not validated, so they can't be used, or they're just pieces of paper to them.
Another example of escalating youth crime on the coast, owner Lisa Lee is getting fed up.
It is so frustrating. The cigarette shop and the goat shop got broken into overnight as well. What's the penalty? What happened to them?
Police are still trying to catch them. Jordan Bissell, 7 News.
An unexpected visitor dropped into a Canberra backyard this morning. The pilot of a hot air balloon made an emergency landing in the suburb of Lyons. No one was injured, but it created quite a spectacle for locals. The balloon has since been deflated and removed. Brisbane's average house price set to pass $1 million. Coming up, the surprising suburbs adding to the housing boom. Barrelling through the streets and slamming into cars, a man leads police on a destructive chase. The mayor serving up a caffeine fix for Brisbane residents. But what about rates? And extraordinary pictures from the outback, the Queensland town cut off by floodwaters.
Tennis courts, athletics tracks and football grounds.
Brisbane, can you feel me?
Stadium rock, can it get any bigger? Flashback 7 News, Sunday at 6.
A car has gone up in flames at the Mount Gravatt Homemaker Centre just before 8 o'clock this morning. Smoke could be seen billowing from the Peugeot from nearby streets. Fire crews quickly extinguished the blaze with no injuries reported. Police are investigating. Brisbane's average house price is tipped to climb above $1 million by next year. But new data has shown unexpected suburbs are leading the surge and are outperforming traditionally in-demand parts of the city.
Bidding higher
$1,365,700
and higher.
The game of tennis, ball back in your court.
Real estate experts say fierce bidding like this at McGregor is becoming more common.
Congratulations and well done.
Auctioneers expect Brisbane's median house price could tip over $1 million by next year.
I think we've got everything at the moment suggests that we're heading north if things stay the same.
The rise today was clear. At 8 Mile Plains, this 15-year-old 4-bed home going under the hammer for $1.76 million.
We are going. Well bought.
CoreLogic says this is all happening in a market which has eased slightly in the last month.
We have seen a subtle slowdown in the rate of growth,
from about 1% in January to about 0.8% over the most recent rolling 4-week period, but it's still a very rapid rate of growth.
The strongest performing areas are the South Side, Redlands, Logan and Ipswich.
Have generally shown a slightly stronger performance than some of your inner city markets.
The volume of registered bidders at auction are probably at the highest that we've seen for some 6 to 12 months.
Experts say the only way to slow rising prices in the market is to build new homes across the city.
There is a lot of focus on getting more housing supply built, but it's going to take some time.
Supply which can't come soon enough for first home buyers. Lawrence Jeffcoat, 7 News.
There's been a heart-stopping police chase in the US state of Maryland. A man hijacked a tow truck and went barrelling through busy streets, at one point colliding with several police cars. Officers tried to corner the driver in an empty parking lot, but he sped into a paddock with equipment on the back of the truck snagging electrical wires. Police eventually caught up with him, smashing the truck's windows and taking the man into custody. Brisbane's Lord Mayor has served up an unusual guarantee, promising greater access to coffee ahead of next month's election. But critics have called it a gimmick, saying he should be focusing on preventing yet another rate rise.
Caffeinating the campaign trail.
Oh, that's for you. No. It's for the cause.
That's what I need to do to keep me going, that little bit of caffeine.
The Lord Mayor's latest election promise, putting coffees in the hands of parents at parks.
Something that's in demand from the people of Brisbane, something that they've been asking for.
The plan identifying 60 popular parks across the city for coffee carts and cutting vendor registration fees from $642 a year to $450.
We've got great coffee, we've got great parks, we're bringing them together.
Labor candidate Tracy Price says this promise leaves a bitter taste.
I think it's a token sort of gesture that he's making last minute leading into an election.
While the candidates continue to sell their election visions, none so far have been able to answer the biggest question: will we see rates rise? And if so, by how much? Brisbane City Council increased rates by 3.45% last year, with another increase possible in this year's budget.
We've seen rates go up 17% under Adrian Schrinner. He put the rates up last year, and then less than 12 weeks later he made a $400 million worth of cuts.
For the 5 years that I've been Lord Mayor, across that period, rate increases have been below inflation.
Labor called for a rate freeze before last year's budget, but couldn't guarantee one today if elected.
No, I'm not saying a rate freeze isn't out of the question.
Questions hopefully answered by election day. Ned Barham, 7 News.
The Sunshine State's top-performing Year 12 students from last year were awarded for their academic achievements today. A part-time job inspired one student to pursue a medical career.
Just seeing, that local impact that I could have, I wanted to really, upscale that. And I thought becoming a doctor would be a great way to do that.
The Queensland Certificate of Education Awards recognised 45 students across 22 different schools. Teaching immune cells to recognise cancer and fight back. Still to come, the treatment for advanced melanoma that's giving patients fresh hope. Robert Irwin announces shock personal news. Lights, camera, action, the Queensland Children's Hospital launches its new TV studio. And caught on camera, the search for a man spotted keying cars. A groundbreaking new treatment for advanced melanoma has just been approved for use in the United States. It uses a person's own immune cells to fight the skin cancer, and while it's not available in Australia yet, there are hopes it will be soon.
How'd your workout?
It was good.
Dan Bennett's life was saved by his daughter Faith 13 years ago.
I had a brown freckle on my neck, and she told me I should go get that checked out.
That freckle was melanoma, a deadly form of skin cancer starting 3 years of surgery and radiation as it spread through Dan's body.
Nobody can tell if something's going to move from your right armpit to your left armpit to any other lymph node.
It also went to his brain.
He would live because of a treatment called TIL, tumour infiltrating lymphocyte therapy, today approved by the FDA. That's the US Food and Drug Administration, the equivalent of Australia's TGA. The therapy developed in special labs like this.
Here's where we take the tumours.
Using a patient's own immune cells taken from inside the tumour, multiplied and stored in these vats.
We would take out a tumour and then send it immediately to the lab, where the lab would grow out the immune cells from the tumour, expand them to billions, and then give them back to the patient ultimately.
In clinical trials, 30 to 40% of patients saw their cancer shrink or disappear. TIL therapy is not yet available in Australia, partly because of the cost, but also the lack of specialised knowledge and facilities. In the United States, Miley Hogan, 7 News.
Only days after Valentine's Day, there's been a shock split in the Irwin family. Robert Irwin and his girlfriend Rory Buckley released a joint statement saying they're going their separate ways. The couple had been together for around a year. Buckley last year revealed she'd even been working at Australia Zoo. The Queensland Children's Hospital has a new dedicated studio which will be the home of Juiced TV. The program is produced by kids in hospital for kids in hospitals all over the state.
It is amazing, better than all the other places that I have been in hospital, but this is 10 out of 10.
In 9 years, Juiced TV has made more than 1,000 episodes and featured famous faces, including Chris Hemsworth and Ed Sheeran. A famous Queensland town now surrounded by an outback ocean. Birdsville is completely cut off and waters are still rising. We have exclusive pictures. That story's just ahead on 7 News. Ben's here with sport, and the stakes are rising for the Broncos.
Yeah, in more ways than one, Sam. G'day everyone. It's their final trial match tomorrow before Vegas, but what's the coach willing to gamble to keep his whiz kid at the club? Plus, mountain mayhem, competition off and on the track at Bathurst. Broncos coach Kevin Walters concedes the club's throwing everything at Reece Walsh to keep him at Red Hill. Brisbane are in Mackay tonight ahead of tomorrow's Cowboys trial. The first time we'll see the whiz kid unleashed before their Vegas season opener.
Getting a taste of American sport before giving Americans a taste of theirs. While round one's closing in, so's Walsh's contract extension. The coach doing everything to make him stay.
Yeah, I've just mortgaged the house to keep him here, so he won't be going anywhere, mate.
The Origin number one's a free agent from November 1. On the table, reports of a club record $1.1 million for the fullback in order to keep Kevy's main men together.
Now, Ezra's another one. Payne, we did Payne late last year, and Paddy. So these guys are all long-term players here for the club, and Walsh is no different.
Tomorrow's trial up north against a young Cowboys side who are competing for edge spots, including Kuli Kefu, Fine Fuiaki.
Back row depth is, a luxury for us. So there's an opportunity there tomorrow night for both, him and Jack Jezewski.
Brisbane will use the opportunity to tighten defence, second to Premiers Penrith last year, conceding 5 points more per game.
That's the plan again this year, is to just focus on ourselves, and particularly defensively, that's where we've got to, I feel, make some improvements even more.
Alyssa Smith, 7 News.
The Broncos have watched their Vegas opponents struggle to shake off an undermanned Manly this afternoon in Gosford. While Kalen Ponga set out the night's thrashing of the Sharks in the first of the doubleheader, the Roosters, boasting 6 Test players, survived a scare from a second-grade Sea Eagles.
The one that got away from the Broncos, Sam Walker getting his year off on the right foot.
They go left, Walker dives in.
Dropped last year, hoping the next palm trees he's kicking toward are in Las Vegas. Former Knight Dom Young cleared for takeoff, couldn't stick this landing, but with Joseph Suali'i as his co-pilot, he found the runway down the right.
What a touch, great hands to Dominic Young.
With Sea Eagles stars watching from the stands, they shouldn't have got anywhere near the first choice Chooks. But the upstart understudies were shocked 2-point leaders at half-time.
He finds Paolalo for the line, and they go the length of the field.
Showstoppers not once but twice, but despite Manly's magic show, that lead disappeared by full time.
What a special try they provide here on the Central Coast.
In the early game, Christian Mapapalangi KO'd on the opening bell.
Straight away, sadly, there's a problem.
Ex-Bronco Tyson Gamble has a fight to keep his place in the halves from Premiership Panther Jack Cogger. New year, a new look for Kalen Ponga.
I've got the trial next week in Fiji, which is exciting, and then just put my head towards round one, really.
Timing not quite right in the trials for Brad Arthur's son Matthew. The Eels reserve concussed from a scary hit, helped off the field after a lengthy delay. Brett Thomas, 7 News.
A pair of Queensland-based players missing trials shone in last night's All-Stars clash. While Josh Addo-Carr put the Maroons on early notice, Broncos Xavier Willison and Dolphin dynamo Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow lit up Townsville as the Indigenous downed the Maori.
One of the most spine-tingling moments in sport. When ancient trans-Tasman cultures collide.
I've got a newborn son I get to represent, my 2 daughters. You know, I'm creating warriors, so I love that aspect.
Pride and passion quickly gave way to...
An Australian victory is inevitable, but South Africa are going down swinging in the one-off test in Perth. Wickets tricky to come by for the hosts on day 3. Ash Gardner breaking it open with 2 quick scalps after lunch. The Proteas have just 1 wicket remaining.
Now on our screens.
Taken! Beautifully taken, Annabelle Sutherland.
Yeah, the visitors still need 285 for Australia to bat again, thanks to Annabelle Sutherland's brilliant 210, the 4th highest score in women's tests.
Yeah, it's pretty special. Probably hasn't quite sunk in yet what exactly it means to me.
Yeah, that knock last night guided Australia to the biggest total of women's test history, 9 for 575 declared after South Africa's first innings of 76. The life support's been switched off for the Bullets season after the Phoenix were unable to stop the Kings this afternoon in Melbourne. The presence of Chicago Bulls legend Scottie Pippen failed to fire the home side. Brisbane needed them to upset the defending champs after losing last night.
There's so many times through the year where we could have controlled things better and not be in this situation. So, I said last week there's a reason those things happen.
It's the 5th season in a row the Bullets have missed the finals. Well, fans enjoyed every moment on Mount Panorama for the Bathurst 12-hour qualifying. Today, in the support categories, chaos.
Griffo's trying to get by and just gets tagged, completely unaware that that car's going to be coming at you from the wrong angle.
MotoGP legend Valentino Rossi returns to race for a 2nd year. His team, WRT, starts 8th on the grid tomorrow morning. Coverage from 5:30 a.m. on 7 Mate. Well, illness, not injury, forced Tiger Woods to withdraw from his comeback tournament, the Genesis Invitational. The 15-time major winner could only manage 6 holes in the second round at Riviera before succumbing to the flu. On the par 3 14th, American Will Zalatoris won himself and his caddy a new car.
It looked good the whole way. You get a car, and you get a car because you just made an ace at 14.
Queensland's Jason Day is tied for second, 5 shots behind leader Patrick Cantlay at 13 under. There we go, channeling our inner Oprah.
I was going to say Oprah moment. Thank you, Ben. Well, police are on the hunt for a man spotted keying cars in Sydney. A Tesla camera caught him in the act in the parking lot of a shopping centre. Witnesses say he targeted multiple vehicles. Detectives are treating the incident as an act of malicious damage. Surging floodwaters have cut off the outback Queensland town of Birdsville. See the remarkable vision only on 7 News next.
On Weekender, we're opening up Queensland's Sunshine Pantry.
Well, they say fresh is best, and it doesn't get any fresher than this.
Tomorrow, 5:30 on 7.
We have incredible pictures tonight of floodwaters surrounding the outback town of Birdsville. Cyclonic rains have flowed through the state's west and water is still rising.
It's an amazing sight from above. Overnight, Birdsville has been completely cut off by floodwaters.
This water that's coming down through here now and all this water behind me is not from rain that's fallen in our area. This is all water that's come hundreds and hundreds of kilometres from up north, coming past us and making its way down to Lake Eyre. It's quite remarkable.
Fortunately, a supply truck dropped off a full load of food and goods 2 days ago, but Birdsville's population of just over 100 people isn't going anywhere.
I'd say anywhere between 2 and 4 weeks, which for us is, it's not a really big problem at this time of year because we're outside of tourist season.
Incredibly, the floodwaters are still rising.
Flying into Birdsville at the moment is like going into an inland sea. The amount of water that's coming down the Diamantina is huge.
Some of the locals and station owners are getting their boats out.
The SES have got a really good boat, flat bottom boat that can go through pretty shallow water, so I'm sure that'll be out. They'll be out in that in the next few days as well, just scouting around.
When the deluge does subside, the outback will come alive. Peter Caldecott, 7 News.
Weather now, here's Bertie.
Hey, thanks for that, Sam. Good evening to everybody. After yesterday's deluge, a few showers lingering this morning. Mostly border region up through the Brisbane southern sides and the Gold Coast, of course, through to about lunchtime, but otherwise partly cloudy. We'll take a look at the temperatures. 29 to 30, the average high. A little bit warmer for those in the western regions of Ipswich, 31 down to 18 overnight. To the charts now. You can see ex-tropical cyclone Lincoln, short-lived cyclone that was, now a low depression, bringing heavy rain into Northern Territory. Obviously a monsoonal trough, very active across the top end, so storm activity around Mount Isa through to Weipa, and also down south we're going to see a high pressure system moving in. That'll swing further into the Tasman, bringing a moist onshore airflow to us, and that'll really start to eventuate and come in on Monday through to the weekend, so keep that brolly handy. As we take a look around the country now, up towards I guess the top end, we're going to see a few storms for Darwin, and of course down into Canberra, 17 to 31, then remaining partly cloudy for Sydney, Melbourne, Hobart and into Adelaide. But look at Perth, once again a hot day of 43 degrees. Back to the tropics now. Storms at Weipa into Mount Isa again from that active monsoonal trough. A few showers. Cairns, g'day up there. Bill Clark, hope you're having a cracking day up there, mate. Looking forward to the Barra season ahead. We're going to see some pretty good conditions from Mackay, although a few showers starting to move in later in the afternoon. As we take a look further south now, Rockhampton through to Harvey Bay, 23 to 31. Remaining partly cloudy on the range at Toowoomba as well, 17 to 27. Clear skies in the west for Roma and 34. In the southeast, expect a couple of borderline showers. Obviously may reach South Brisbane. Highs of 29 to 30 coastal regions, 20 to 32 for Ipswich, 21 to 30 for Logan. As you take a look on the water, southeast winds 15 knots, seas 1 metre, swells bouncing offshore. More on that soon. 22 to 30 in the city, and showers moving in Monday through to the weekend with a high of 32 by Friday. Similar for Ipswich, keep the brolly handy. Monday through to Saturday, could be seeing good totals up to 20 millimetres. And for the Gold Coast, very similar as well as the Sunshine Coast. Combined totals 25 millimetres with a high of 28. Let's check the waterways for tomorrow, everyone.
On the surfing scene, if you're keen to have a crack tomorrow, it looks as though that easterly swell, very similar to what we've had over the past week now, pushing in 9-second intervals. Got that morning low tide. Clearly with that, we're going to see a lot of dredginess on those open stretches. And of course, the winds, they're coming in from the southeast. They'll pick up as the day gets on. 15 to 17 knots on the open stretches by lunchtime, so get out there nice and early. Got that small high tide coming through, a little bit fat and full on the points later in the day, but nonetheless definitely worthwhile on those protected corners. Water temp 26 degrees, everybody. Now, if you are heading out for a fish, there's been some nice catches coming through. The estuary's firing up once again for those keen to have a crack. Loads of whiting, good quality flatties. But the whiting up around the Maroochy have been firing, and also down around the Council Chambers and Wave Break Island on the Gold Coast. And have a look at that. It's a beautiful grunter brim or javelin fish. They love a bit of a freshwater flush. Thank you for that, Gold Coast River Charters.
And that's all from us this Saturday. Thanks for your company. I'm Samantha Heathwood from all the team. Good night.